If you think LEGO hides a lot of stuff in their sets, you won't believe how much they hide in minifigures. From a torso that literally has a vintage space set on it, to this random mark on every minifigure that has an actual purpose. I found 22 minifigures with insane hidden details, and the first one is the Galactic Bounty Hunter in CMF Series 19. He looks like a regular futuristic villain at first, but there's a much older LEGO reference hiding under his armor. His torso has the full Blacktron logo printed across his chest, connecting him to the classic space faction from the 1980s. The weird part is that once you put his armor on, the entire logo basically disappears. All you can see is one tiny yellow triangle at the bottom. But he's not the only one in this series that references old LEGO. The video game champ is wearing a jacket that's absolutely covered in tiny logos from Classic Space, Blacktron, and Mtron, basically turning his outfit into LEGO space merch. He also has a little Space Invaders style keychain printed on his leg, so even the smallest part of his outfit keeps the gaming theme going. His accessory has another hidden reference too, but I'll come back to that later in the video, because Ninjago City has a much stranger reference on one of its background characters. A guy weirdly named Mother Doomsday is wearing a shirt with the Galador logo right across the front, referencing one of LEGO's shortest-lived and most infamous themes. Even crazier though, this isn't even the only Galador reference in this set. One of the movie posters in the city advertises a Galador movie, so apparently this random civilian isn't the only fan. He isn't completely random though. He's actually the owner of the Doomsday comic store in Ninjago City, so him owning a shirt like this makes a lot of sense. He is a nerd after all. There seems to be another nerd in Ninjago though. There's a girl named Nancy in a set for the Ninjago movie, and she has another old space reference hidden in her outfit. Underneath her jacket, she's wearing a white Mtron shirt, which is a pretty random callback for a background character. But the more unusual detail is on her face. Nancy was the first minifigure to have printing of dental headgear, and she has two faceplates, so LEGO printed it twice. I mean, it's taking all the attention away from the big Mtron logo on her torso. However, the original LEGO movie did something like this way before Nancy. A few years earlier, they introduced two characters who were literally named Blacktron Fan and Fabu Fan. They both appeared in the Rescue Reinforcements set, wearing shirts based on older LEGO themes, with the Blacktron Fan repping the Classic Space faction, and Fabu Fan wearing the Fabuland logo. These weren't just random prints either. Both of these minifigs were actually in the LEGO movie, but the Blacktron Fan also went to Ninjago High School and was in the Ninjago movie too. So oddly enough, both of these random minifigs are actually real characters. It's weird though. Somehow, classic space references made their way into LEGO Friends too. In the Stargazing Camping Vehicle set, Nova wears a blue shirt with the space logo front and center, with little UFOs in the background. It was pretty unexpected. I mean, she isn't in a space set, and she's not even a normal minifigure. She's a mini doll that just so happened to be into stargazing. Kinda shows how far LEGO has taken these retro references compared to where they actually come from. Regardless, the Hidden Side theme has another detail that's easy to miss. In the Ghost Train Express set, one of the crew members is wearing a pink shirt underneath her jacket, and printed on it is a small Frankenstein head in LEGO form, but it doesn't actually match a real one. LEGO's made a few different versions, and they always have an extra piece on top of the head to make it giant, so the one on this minifig's t-shirt is a completely fake version. Maybe they're trying to show us how they wanted to make Frankenstein, but couldn't for some reason. Anyways, another way LEGO hides details are in tattoos. Tatooga from the Pirates of Barracuda Bay set has some of the most detailed printing in the entire Pirates theme. His design is based on an older pirate who only had a simple anchor tattoo, but LEGO updated him as if he'd gotten more ink while stranded with the rest of Redbeard's crew. Now, his tattoos include parrots, mermaids, and even the Black Sea's Barracuda sailing across his back. He's much more detailed compared to the original minifig, and the tattoos basically act like a timeline showing what happened between the old pirate sets and Barracuda Bay. The designers updated several of the Barracuda Bay pirates as if they'd actually aged since the last time we saw them. This is obviously a very special case, but almost every minifigure has a tiny square printed on their neck, and I feel like most of us never pay attention to it. Headpieces are always covering it up, so it's not a decoration. It's used during production, so a machine can tell which way the torso is facing before the arms are inserted. These little squares actually have an essential job in the manufacturing process. Some collectors have also figured out that different versions can identify where a minifig was made. It's crazy how important it is, and yet it gets covered up every single time. But getting back to strange references, Ninjago City Gardens has one of the weirdest old Lego references in this video. Hai, the ice cream vendor, wears an apron with the Ice Planet 2002 logo, except here, Lego used it as a logo for an ice cream shop. But they kept this joke going off of Hai. When Ninjago City Markets released, Lego added an Ice Planet billboard advertising his ice cream shop. He must be raking it in with his one store in Ninjago City Gardens. Getting a billboard in City Markets definitely isn't cheap. But not every space reference is super niche like this Ice Planet logo. The Space Fan from CMF Series 20 is a space nerd through and through. So much so that she's wearing a classic Lego space set on her shirt, and she even has the logo on her pants. But this torso actually got reused for the kid in the Cosmic Cardboard Adventure set, and there's actually some disagreement over which old set is on the shirt. Brothers Brick and Jay's Brick Blog say it's set 918, while Blocks Magazine thinks it's set 497, considering how popular it is. Either way, Lego turned a real vintage set into a piece of clothing for a minifigure decades later, and classic space references didn't just suddenly show up out of nowhere in modern Lego. All the way back in 2009, the Winter Village toy shop set included a shop employee wearing a red jacket with the classic space logo printed on the front. Again, there's nothing space related about this set at all. The logo is just treated as part of her outfit. But the snowman in CMF Series 23 has a detail unlike anything else in this video so far. The snowman head is actually a removable costume piece, and underneath it is a normal minifigure that's sweating from the heat. The whole figure is basically someone overheating inside a snowman costume, which is a lot funnier than it just being a regular snowman. Also, if you take the carrot nose off, it looks like he's trapped in there, which is pretty funny. But the chili costume fan in Series 22 has another hidden face underneath the costume. One side of her head has a normal smile, but the other shows her sweating, like the giant pepper suit is too hot to stand in. Depending on which way the head is faced, you won't be able to see this sweating faceplate when the costume is on. But when it's off, we see just how much of a chili fan this girl really is. She's even wearing a t-shirt with a flaming chili on it, and her accessory is a carton of milk, so she really is a die-hard fan. Lego improvises a lot for CMF minifigs, so it's no surprise what's going on with the trash monster in Series 29. It looks like it has the same melting green head that Slime Singer used in the video theme, but Lego changed how it interacts with the rest of the minifig. For the singer, it was transparent and sat on top of a blank green head. But for the trash monster, it looks like its actual face, until you take it off. Underneath is a rotting pumpkin with a worm that crawls all the way through to the other side. This minifig was already weird enough, but this double-sided headpiece is one of the most cursed things I've ever seen in Lego. And speaking of double-sided heads, the Boba Cup fan in Series 29 uses the same hidden face idea, but this time the costume accidentally gives it away. The minifigure has a double-sided head underneath the cup, but the cup is transparent, so the second face is visible from the back. Normally, Lego uses these costume pieces to hide the extra faceplate, like the chili girl. But here, their decision to make it transparent definitely backfired. I don't think this was done on purpose at all. But I want to go back to tattoos for a minute. Drax's tattoos from Marvel cover most of his body in the Guardians of the Galaxy, but LEGO hid a very small detail inside them. On the 2014 minifigure, the tattoos across his body have tiny LEGO skulls worked into the design. They match the skulls he has on his body in the movies, but LEGO changed them into minifigure skulls to make them a little more family-friendly. The 2017 version kept the tattoos on the front and the back, although some of the finer detail was lost in the updated printing. But the 2014 version is basically covered in tiny LEGO skulls. But going back to Series 29, the Monster Hunter looks like a brand new character, but he's actually based on Major Quinton Steele from the old Monster Fighters theme. This isn't even uncommon to see either. Obviously, LEGO loves referencing themselves, but they'll also bring back entire characters who have been retired for a really long time. The best example besides this one is the Jungle Explorer, who's actually supposed to be Johnny Thunder from the Adventurers theme. It's obvious if you know the character, but they left out his name on purpose to make it more fun. They actually did something pretty similar in Series 19, but it was way more subtle. The video game champ I talked about before has a certain minifig on his game tile. The game is literally just called Space Game, but the character printed on it is the Cyborg from CMF Series 16. LEGO turned one of its older minifigures into a video game character instead of inventing a fake one. It's such a tiny print that you could easily assume LEGO just made up some random character for the box, but it's an actual minifig that already exists. Similarly, the race car guy in Series 18 isn't just some random racer. He's actually Rocket Racer, the final boss in the LEGO Racers game from 1999. His chest has the RR logo, but the better detail is on his belt, where LEGO printed the name R Racer. He also has other details, like clutch drive on his back and a Grand Prix patch on his shoulder. But the belt print is tiny enough that you'd probably never notice it, and it literally confirms who this person is. The coolest minifig in this series, though, is the police officer. He's based on the original one from 1978, right down to the simple uniform and old-school faceplate, but his accessory is where the real reference is. He comes with a 1x2 tile with the original police car set printed on it, which is the one the original minifigure first appeared in. It's like he's walking around holding proof of where he came from, and unless you know the OG, the tile just looks like a random little police car print. But the references go all the way back to Series 1. The crash test dummy comes with a tiny plate that says PA770, and people have spent years trying to figure out what it means. One theory is that it's a reference to a LEGO employee named Michael Patton, because the letters and numbers are close to his last name, if you read the 7s as T's and the 0 as an O. He was actually a graphic designer, and according to his portfolio, he helped design a few different CMF series, including Series 1. Even with this, though, there's no solid confirmation, so this one is more of a mystery than a proven Easter egg. Either way, LEGO always hides codes in their text, and the meaning here is still hidden more than 15 years later. But which one of these details surprised you the most? Be sure to let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.